Live from the fashionable north side of Racine, Wisconsin. It's America's favorite podcast, unless you count pretty much every other one. It's Guys, Games, and Beer! Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. You know what? I think we're going to just start strong with Beer Court. What do you say?
Straight into Beer Court.
All right,
let's do this. Dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Beer Court.
All right, Larry, what do we got tonight?
Okay, so I listen to a lot of old-time radio broadcasts, right? So you're
wow, why did that surprise us?
Yeah. You know, I'm always up on the times, right? And so,
Laura got me. Good one.
And so, you know, for like Life of Riley or My Favorite Husband or...
so if you're 90 years old, you'll know the shows Larry's talking about right now. The rest of our audience is going, what the fuck?
And one of them, Boston Blackie, was supported by a beer called CV. So, you know, and they had a whole slogan... you know, like smoother. You know, had a nice jingle.
They had an old like '60s jingle.
Yeah,
like a '40s jingle.
Like a '40s jingle. Yeah. And it was like, so I got curious about it, and so I was like Champagne Velvet. Is that a beer? What is that? So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was a beer, and it was
champagne of beer.
It was, and one of their taglines was the beer with the $1 million flavor. Now the reason it was called the $1 million flavor is because the recipe was insured for $1 million.
Well, you told me this before.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is gonna be
that is it.
No, it's a Pils.
The beer is a German Pils that was started in like 1902, and it went out of business in the late 50s. So apparently the advertisement on the radio programs didn't work, but hey, they tried. And so what ended up happening is that in the 90s. In Terre Haute, Indiana. So this is out of Indiana. This is the pride of Indiana.
The pride of Indiana.
Yeah, a worker was
explains a lot about
cleaning out the basement, one of the old dilapidated breweries, and found like a book. And Mike Rowe, I don't know if it's that Mike Rowe or not.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's that Mike Rowe. Dirty Jobs.
Yeah, I don't know. It says local businessman and collector of memorabilia. So
yeah, probably not.
Probably not. It just happens to be. Bought the book for $20, and he basically thought, oh, okay, well, I kind of got ripped off on this, but then he found a scrap of paper in there, and it had a 1901 letterhead, and it had a handwritten Pilsner recipe on it. And as people looked in it, they confirmed it was the original lost recipe for CV beer.
Champagne Velvet. CV.
Yes.
You say CV. No, use the whole name.
Champagne Velvet. It was the original. It was the original recipe. So Rowe, being kind of enterprising, needed the CV trademark because he didn't own that. He just had the recipe,
right? Which
he bought from Pabst in 1999.
Oh, you're kidding, Pabst. So Pabst again had been picked up by this time. Had gone out of business, but had been picked up.
Well, they never went out of business.
Well, yeah, but the Chicago company bought them up. That Chicago, I forget the family.
Chicago.
Some family.
They'd actually shuttered their own brewery, and Miller had started probably making it by then.
Yeah, by that time. Well, actually, yeah, because they were doing contract brewing at that time.
Yeah, but they still existed.
But they owned the CV.
They owned the CV trademark.
That doesn't surprise me because they were buying like the Schlitz and the Pabst. Right. They bought all these old
Andiker.
So he bought the label and started brewing this recipe from 1901, and then he did that until 1908 when he sold it off to another brewery, the Upland Brewery, who makes it today.
98, you mean?
2008.
Oh, 2008. Okay.
And he sold it to Upland. I might have made. And they now make it with this. Now it's a blend of corn and malt barley, and they use a cluster and tannin hops.
Okay, corn's interesting.
So
I was
And-
gonna say this
and
is either
the
really
hops
good
are
or real gross.
from Germany, where the
Before-
founding fathers of CV came
before
from.
we drink it, I have two things to know, and I just noticed you guys are about to go ready to pop it down. The freshness thing on the
Yep.
side is very interesting.
Yep.
It's marked like a fire extinguisher, like
Yep.
It is actually marked
yeah,
like
like punched out. But it's a very easy way to notice, like, oh, best
you do
consume
know
by.
right away. Yeah.
And the second thing is, I think they should probably use better verbiage. But it says this beer contains no flavors or additives. So if it's bland, it's
So
Got no flavor.
Upland Brewing, you might want to change the wording on the side there, just to put that out to you. All right.
And I've been pining for this
And
for
if we
like
all die from drinking a beer
months
from
and months.
1901,
all right.
because I found it was actually being
It
still
smells a
made.
little skunk.
that doesn't smell good at all.
it's okay. It tastes better than it smells.
It does taste.
It definitely tastes better.
It tastes quite good. It's a very sweet pills though. It's not like a Czech style pills. It's a German style pills.
Well,
It's okay, but it smells disgusting.
Yeah.
it's German. I like it.
I gotta say, I'm okay
That's
with
respectable. Yeah. It's considering I mean pilsners are your very bland, usually pretty bland.
this. This has got a little sweetness to it.
Well,
I
and
wonder
if
that's
you
the
start
corn.
if you start thinking
Probably.
about it in the slits, Blatz, sort of American style
Yes.
German.
Right, an American style Pilsner lager type beer.
Yeah.
But and again,
Very clean.
yeah, it's. I gotta say, there's a touch of hoppiness to it though. Still for a pills. It's a German pills. I know.
Yeah, there's definitely hops in it.
Saying that cookie dough beer was better than this stuff.
Really,
Really.
really. Oh,
that
you
kind
know,
of beer
it's
is
nasty.
bad.
Oh, this is pretty nasty.
I think there's a palate change in Millenniums.
Millennials.
Millennials.
In the Millennium Falcon.
Millennium Falcon. Yeah,
You
exactly.
never showed your age so much.
I'm a millennium.
No, I think there is a bit of a
With your
palate
poker
shift.
mans.
And like
Maybe.
I think my dad. would
I'm
probably
not
love
a big
this.
fan of Pilsners either. So
See,
I
but
should
you know me,
have
I like my.
So if you drink Pabst,
I
if you
hate
don't
Pabst.
if you don't
But
even
Pabst
like
is a
Pabst to
lager.
start
I
with.
hate Pabst.
It's
I don't
a
like.
lager.
See, I like my dark beers and I like my IPAs.
Oh no, you know me.
so.
I'm much.
All right, for the love of God. Let's
All right.
Well, on the upside, you are tasting a bit of history. So
Wow.
I'm surprised that I like it. I didn't
It's really
expect
I kind of like that sweet finish on it.
Smell is like 70% taste.
Well then don't smell it, just drink it.
Ugh.
No, I'm gonna go thumbs up on this. All right, Rob.
All right, on count one.
Wait.
Before we put it past our
we
verdict.
should have a moment of silence for another famous judge tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry to report that Judge Wapner has passed away. The
court of
purveyor
the people.
all courts. of the
Yes.
people.
Yeah, that's right. So from
Inspiration.
one famous judge to another, Rob, we'll have a moment of silence for Judge
This one's for
Wapner.
you.
Pour one out on
We'll
that
pour one
laptop.
out on the laptop. All right, Rob. What's the verdict tonight on the beer?
Count one. Impersonating champagne. I find you guilty. Don't be impersonating champagne. It's not right even to put
The
word
original
champagne.
champagne of beers.
Champagne.
Like, you know what? That's probably pretty.
That's
That's gonna be close about the same time as Miller. So yeah. All right, continue.
Count two. On the charge of stealing over $1 million in bonds to get your $1 million flavor, I find you also guilty. Sentence.
Sentence.
Drinking. No,
All
I'll
right.
drink ya.
You're
I'll
tasty.
drink you, Ed.
You're tasty. We'll drink you.
Yay. I do find that interesting. That apparently there was a movement there to just like compare all beer to champagne.
Yeah, that's true. I gotta check and see what year Miller came out because you're right. This is champagne. Miller was the
Miller
champagne
Genuine
beer.
Draft only was 1986. And that's the champagne of beers.
No, the champagne of beers
Is
is
Miller High Life.
High Life is
Yeah,
the
with the champagne
of
of
beers.
beers. What year was
Yeah.
that?
I want to say that's like 1904. Or
That yes,
something like
that's
that.
gonna be back around the same time.
Yeah. Well, beer was for poor folk. Champagne wasn't, so they were trying.
Yeah, no, I suppose it makes sense. Well, okay, so
That's a
keep going.
bizarre thing.
all right, so Rob, what is the actual topic of tonight's
Tonight,
show?
we are going to be talking about Cloudbase Prime, and to talk with us about this game is...
Tyrus Piece of Floating Island Games.
Yup.
All right,
Peters.
so Floating Island Games. So you got this is not your first game out.
No, Floating Island Games was formed pretty much just for this game so far, but Tyrus Peace, have made many games, yeah. The first couple games that I actually released are on the Ouya, though, so I'm not sure that counts for most people.
Ouya players!
Yeah, come on, it counts around here.
Rob was an evangelist. So
Yeah, he was.
God, what a mistake.
We
though.
literally have done shows about the Ouya.
Hey, great idea. The execution was the problem.
It had potential. It had real potential.
Well,
Okay,
I got what I wanted out of it, and I was kind of confused that everybody else wanted it, though. Turns out they didn't want the same thing I did, and it all imploded pretty badly. But
Yeah.
I mean,
happy with
nowadays you got stuff like, NVIDIA Shield TV. You got stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, without the Ouya, well, it probably still would have happened. But,
But
you
it
kind
knew
of pushed that.
it was there. It knew it
Yeah,
had a
it
market.
knew it was there. It
I
just,
just don't. It's something didn't. The storm didn't align well. Like
Yeah.
the market was there. People play Android games and those
You
quick.
know, it doesn't help when your controllers don't work.
yeah, it didn't help. They sent me
yeah,
new
you just
set.
had to have perfect line of sight and not tilt it.
Yeah, you know it. We did Midwest Gaming Classic. We
Bomb
did
Squad.
Bomb Squad
Squad,
on there
yeah.
a few years back.
That
It
was
was
a
really
riot.
popular. People loved it.
All right, so you started programming for the Ouya.
But today we're going to be talking about Cloudbase Prime,
Yeah.
which is on
Not on the Ouya.
not on the Ouya. It is on Steam Early Access.
Yeah.
There it
And
is.
would you, for people who know nothing about the game, would you kind of give us a little synopsis about it?
Sure. In Cloudbase Prime, you pilot a robot suit on a gas giant mining platform, and things go wrong. You can move tiles that the platform is made of to clear paths, defeat enemies, or launch yourself skyward. Basically, you shoot at robots while jumping a lot. And launching your enemies with the terrain gives you more fuel once you've defeated them. That powers your special weapons, and then you can launch more enemies. It's kind of a nice loop like that.
Yeah, Rob mentioned to me, and again, this is one of my favorite childhood games, and it's a very niche, but jumping flash, like that whole kind of air mechanic.
Yeah, and they actually mentioned that. I was kind of surprised because I read your description of the game after I played it, and because I was thinking, boy, this reminds me of Jumping Flash, And sure enough, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool mechanic, and again, it's the verticality is something you really just don't get in enough games, and it really kind of it's a very interesting way to play something, especially platformer.
And this has some extreme verticality too.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I did notice that. Well, you're really getting up there.
Yeah, we were playing. We had a small LAN party last weekend. I was showing it off at the LAN party.
Great.
And
Yeah, that actually started as a 7-day FPS entry for June 2012. I think that was the first 7-day FPS game jam, actually. And I had this idea that I really wanted to try and make a mouse-look jumping flash. Because still, I mean, that game was just... It didn't even have analog sticks, right? It was just a D-pad.
Yep.
It was before the DualShock came out in the original PlayStation. And the jumping worked. And that's the thing that everybody says about first-person shooters. Like, oh, hell no, not another platforming segment. This is terrible. And I thought, wait, jumping flash worked. It does not even have analog.
Or like in a shooter,
Why
like so many times in multiplayer shooters or anything, or even single-player shooters, you're running around bunny hopping like crazy. Why not just have a game that embraces that? That embraces the fact, hey, you go vertical, I thought, and again, so you started it as a game jam, and I watching the gameplay, the aesthetic of it is very interesting, kind of like a computer industrially. How did you kind of decide what the game was going to look like?
Well, a big part of how my games look hinges on the fact that I need to be able to make it. It's just me.
Yeah, one man
So
crew.
I keep
Yeah,
things a little simple, but also I like sharp edges. They really help bring out that polygonal style without actually being as crappy looking as like Star Fox or something. I want people to look at it and think, oh yeah, this reminds me of Star Fox, but not actually look like it because you have that nostalgia filter going on.
Without the amazing.
Well, you got
Craftsman
5
general
digits
goal.
in a hand, so most anime, a lot of animation, they
Yeah.
just for
yeah,
convenience,
yeah.
they just cut it to 4.
It's just reduce the number of fingers. Drunken Larry's been
I
drinking.
was wondering where Larry was going with that.
Drunken Larry's been drinking already.
What does it have
Sorry.
to do with anything?
Well, no,
I thought he was trying to make fun of people who have missing fingers.
no. A lot of animation style because a hand is kind of
Simplicity.
it hard to draw all 5 digits and still
We get it now.
look correct. You know, so
Well,
I mean, you know,
spoilers, you do
and-
get more fingers later in the game.
All right, so you did this originally for a game jam back in 2012.
Yes, and I have not been working on it full time since then. I've only really been working full time on it for since September 2015 is when I quit my job and moved to Texas and started uploading Island games. Before that, I was working sort of part time on it, off and on, still doing a lot of other game jams as well. So it was really stop and go before that point, I would say.
So, okay, I'm sorry. It's one of those days. So, you've 2015 is your actual when you started kind of devoting time to this particular game. So right now you are in pre-release on Steam. What's
the timeline?
Yeah, what is the timeline as far as full release?
Right now, I'm hoping for a beta within the next month and a half, and depending on how that goes, I could release, a month or two after that. But of course, that's what betas are for. I don't know
Yeah.
for sure. There could be a lot of shit wrong in there that I'll find.
So you're actually looking at a fairly accelerated schedule now as far as getting it to market and getting it on Steam.
It's on.
Well, you know what I mean, but I mean to say
But like,
the
Making a full
full
product,
version, right? The full product.
Yeah, I've only got a couple more levels story-wise to do, and I can always add more content after the official release. But in terms of considering it done and ready to release, that's about where I'm planning to take it. Yeah.
So is this, it looks, all right, just sort of looking at it cold, you'd think it's kind of a solo game, not a multiplayer element. Is it a solo game, like a story beginning to end, or
is it more arcadey, or is it
Yeah, it's a lot more of a kind of old school game. It definitely has an ending. That's part of why I have such a accelerated schedule, as you said, compared to a normal early access game. I mean, a lot of those, they just sort of poke at it, add random features. It's a sandbox game, and it slowly grows into something
Oh,
over the
jeez.
course of years.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm planning a very specific game that's stage-based, and once you get to the end of the story, that's it. Good for you. That's all I'm going for.
Yeah, I
hope you enjoyed it. Play it again.
I think I think looking at some of the animation or like looking at the style of it, I think it's very different. It definitely stands out. Like, where did you get some of the inspirations from besides just kind of something that's easier for you to design wise? Is there any places you kind of drew inspiration from to kind of get the look and feel for it?
I mean, I really wanted people to look at it and say, like, damn, that looks like Star Fox and Sex made a baby.
I get
Not sure
it.
that makes sense. It's just I want people to say that, So I kinda remember that in the back of my head.
Yeah, I don't care if they right.
Again, yeah. I mean,
See,
you look
now-
at screenshots or like a quick video. It looks very cool. Like the design is very unique for sure.
I get kind of a res feel off it, but
Yeah, no, but again,
That's fair enough.
no, that is fair enough because graphically the game is fairly stylized and
it's
that,
stylized. But I mean, what res was, and I think what kind of is there. I mean, it was a difference between simple and stylized and simple. I mean, where you're the lines are clean. You can see what there isn't a lot of things blurring everything, but
right. The elements
what's
of the,
there
right? You have
is
the elements of the game, and
clear.
you don't have a lot of extra junk floating around in the background.
Yeah, a big part of what I wanted in the design of all of the enemies and whatnot, which really did drive the style a lot as well, is that I wanted everything to be functional. I mean, extremely simple, yes, but I want the different robot parts to all make sense. This thing could have actually morphed from a different robot before it got infected. Different plants and whatnot that still look like that they could be machine based and all of that. And so I kept on going back to that, really wanting functional parts in all of the characters. And I think that really helps because when you simplify something down to those basic designs, if it has enough parts to make it interesting, it still looks cool, it still looks good.
You know what? I just realized that wasn't just a joke. You actually do get more fingers.
Wow. Okay.
I'm looking at some of the screenshots. I'm like, Oh my God! There's only 3 digits in
In
this
that
screenshot,
screenshot.
and this one there's 5. It really does increase your fingers.
Just like
Okay.
real life, Larry. Just like real life.
That's pretty funny.
So again, besides this being, so you have platforming
If
elements.
only
You obviously
me.
you have shooter elements. Is like as you progress through the game, do you do the elements of the platforming change? Are there puzzles, or what do you kind of see as you kind of go through the game?
Yeah, there are actually a lot of things that tweak the formula as you go through. One of the main things is that you'll unlock new powers for your suit, new upgrades for it. So initially when you start off, you can glide, you can move the terrain up and down, you can shoot. But pretty quickly you start getting things like a shockwave that you can shoot out that's powered by the fuel you get from launching enemies. A terrain grenade, which it's more or less a standard grenade, but it leaves a giant crater in the terrain. And a hollow terrain, which shakes things up by letting you temporarily make ground beneath yourself, which you can use to knock homing missiles out of the ground, out of the sky, or just get places you wouldn't otherwise. Standard sort of death beams. But also, there's a lot of things focused on making you move through the levels faster. So that's something I hear a lot from YouTubers that play, the first 10 minutes of the game. They go, this feels kind of slow. And I really want them to get, another level in and see that, hey, I actually have entire rail systems designed for you to get from point A to point B faster. You can launch yourself like a projectile through the level by moving these things around, solving little physics puzzles for yourself.
There's a lot to be said for a pacing of a game. Like, having something that's easy enough that you can pick up, learn it, and kind of expand on those basic principles, or, and it's an addictive quality too. If you build something well, it doesn't have to be super complicated. You have good aspects, and again, a player can actually kind of pick up and progress. It leaves a really good feeling.
I think if you're walking around a lot, you're playing the game wrong. 'Cause
Yeah, that's
I
another
shoot
big part
into
of
the
it.
air.
I really want people to launch themselves.
Yeah, I launch myself in the air the second I get out there, and I'm up. I'm jumping.
If
That
you're
might
too slow,
be
then
slow.
launch yourself, because that's real fast.
Yeah,
It
right.
might
You
be
get around
unnerving.
fast.
And, the sort of...
It is. My God, if you put this on a VR headset, I'd be a train wreck.
Oh, yeah, I've been asked that a lot, and I'm like, well, the central mechanic is hitting yourself in the face with the ground and then accelerating up.
Yeah. That is exactly true.
So there would be some real problems with that. I mean, I can see how it could be cool, but yeah, I'd have to basically start over with the speed of everything to make sure that people don't immediately vomit.
Definitely, definitely once you get all your fixer robots, and you become super powered, you can jump like super high. Yeah, vomit time there.
I think you get that elevator feeling in your nethers like real bad.
Oh yeah.
We should do that for.
Should still probably do it.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of it.
So I'm gonna get down in the weeds a little bit. So Unity engine on this one?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Yeah. So it from a developer standpoint, you find Unity, and we've talked to other developers about using Unity. How did it? It seems like this was a good fit for that particular engine for all the physics you've got going on in this particular game.
Yeah, it works pretty well for it. Honestly, there are a lot of challenges, things that I've made custom solutions for, because it turns out having thousands of physics objects just hanging out, waiting to launch someone up in the air, it's real expensive. Like, it looks like a simple game. And I optimized it to run on like a 8-year-old MacBook and a Surface Pro 3 that I have sitting around my house. But it took a lot of work to get there. I'm literally batching these things up and grouping them, turning them off when you're not looking. Because just treating them like standard objects would not have worked. But that said, Unity in general, I mean, I can support Mac, Linux, and Windows now.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
And I could not have done that by myself.
I'll have to hit it up on
this
my
time,
big-ass
at
Linux box.
Yeah. Rob's eyes just lit up when you went Linux on that, because now he's going to put on his Linux system as well. So again, you're a company of one. But there's other elements of the game besides just the graphics. You're doing your own graphics. You're doing all your own programming.
Yes.
Who's doing the voice acting?
Yeah, I was curious.
That actually is me as well, so sorry about
Jesus. Okay. You
A
are.
man of many hats.
Yeah, I was going to say you are a force of nature
Like
on
a
this one.
prodigy.
Yeah, the writing I think is one of the things that really.
The voice acting is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I know. It drew me. One of the things that really drew me to the game, like right away, and that is one of my problems. I've got a fairly large Steam collection, so if anything gets more than one play out of me, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty exceptional. But it draws you in right away, into the story right away, and you're getting some laughs right away.
good to hear.
It's actually funny. I mean, it's pretty funny and weird.
Yeah.
I like that about it.
No, the writing and the voice acting are spot on this. So yeah, that's.
So you did the music too?
No, I did not do the music.
That was
Okay.
my
All right. We
Finally
Matt
got some.
Devonshire worked on that, actually. He's very good. Basically, I told him at the outset, I want the music to get more organic, less synthetic the further down you go to match how the world changes. And he thought that sounded really cool and did it way better than I could have imagined. It's very good, and I recommend working with him to anybody that needs that.
Sometimes I just sit on the menu and listen for a bit.
Music is always my favorite part of any game.
That really can be. I mean, I know that people have bought in soundtracks to
Jet Set
games.
Radio Future. It's like my
Oh, we could
first
make a
video
game,
game. That was
absolutely.
like my first video game soundtrack.
Yeah, the
Crazy
original Jet Set
Taxi.
Radio.
also.
Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Crazy Taxi.
Take Offspring out of that, and it's much
Right.
sadder.
Then you're just driving around a taxi.
Or I mean that and Bad Religion.
Yeah.
Yes, those are the two. You need those two. But
That's a
for
good music.
voice acting and writing, I actually had a fair amount of experience with keeping scripts short, at least, because I worked on a webcomic for a few years. So that actually ended up being pretty helpful, both in terms of giving me art sense and, keeping things short, which is really important when you're actually recording the lines, because you realize when you write out like a paragraph of text, like, nobody talks like this. This sounds stupid as hell when I say that. You want to finish talking the second you started talking, and so you keep everything rather what would read as terse if it was text, but just sounds normal otherwise. And so I'm
It has a
kind of
good
thankful
flow.
that for some reason I wrote a webcomic for 5 years.
I'm gonna do just on a sidebar. What webcomic did you do?
Not included, so you can go to not-included.net, and it's still there, still kicking.
Cool. All right. So,
An uplifting tale of
but so that does. So that gave you your pacing and so on. And again, again, 5 years of experience is quite a bit of time on a webcomic. It comes through on this. Like you said, the dialogue is extremely good, and the voice acting really works.
Yeah, enough that we thought it was multiple people doing
Yeah,
it.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even consider the fact that it was just one person doing it. Because usually something
and with
comes
the
of that.
Henry Shear
Well-
Award is
There's some exceptions. There are some exceptions, but as a general rule, usually when you've got a really small development team, you can see where they don't, where there's a gap in what they know. Whereas this comes together really well. I talked a bit about games that basically ooze love out of them. Like, you could tell the developer loved making the game, and I think this is one of those games that you can tell that every detail is being just poured over in it. And I think that's one of the things that really shows up in this game, and it makes it exceptional.
Well, thanks a lot. I mean, I'm lucky in that I can really spend a lot of time on this. It's because I do so much of the stuff, I'm ping-ponging back and forth. And a lot of the time you'd think that would mean I'd spend less time on dumb details, but at the same time, those things actually help a lot. When I get pissed off at programming or something, I just go, well, you know what? I'm going to make this grass look better. Something minor, something stupid. There's always a dumb task to do.
being part of a smaller operation. Have you? Did you look at forums or because there's certain kinds of like voice acting, for example. I mean, when you put a call out for that, I think back a few years back now, I knew someone that was writing some mods for a game, and they put a call out, and and in return he got all kinds of voice acting, out of Australia.
No, honestly,
No, it was-
you'd be amazed. I mean, there are some amazing
I mean, there are
voice actors
people just
out there.
kind of willing to be part of
Right,
something.
just to be part of something.
You know.
I'm saying in the mix of that.
No,
you know,
So,
they
I mean,
have-
did you try any of that, or it didn't work out, or?
I didn't for voice acting specifically because my writing process is so bad. Right now, I'll start with a script and then I'll say it out loud and I'll realize, yeah, this sounds terrible spoken out loud. This just isn't.
It'll take
doable
other
with
people's
a human
time
tongue,
too.
you
Yeah.
know? And so I'll go, okay, I'll rewrite it halfway through, and then I'll say it over and over again and go, oh, that's the thing I want. Because I'm not a good director, but I know what I want in my head. A
Right,
good director
right,
can tell
right.
somebody else what they want.
Right.
And I can't do that with somebody else, but I can do it with myself. You know, I can, in my head, I go, no, I think that sucks, and I don't need to explain why. I can just try again. Whereas if I was doing that with somebody else, first off, it would take forever.
Take a
Well,
three.
yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of those forums is, oh, okay, yeah, they want to be part of something, and it's kind of like, a chance to sort of get out there, and the expectation is, oh, you've given me a well vetted script, and I'm
Yes.
just gonna put flair on it, and as opposed to, hey, this is a sort of almost a mind experiment. We're gonna throw things at the wall and see what works.
For example, there's a robot in the game that has 9 heads, and so I had to rewrite the entire script after I started writing it because it turns out when you have the same voice shooting from 9 heads at the same time, it sounds really different. And, well, it was nine separate recordings of me playing at once.
I assume the heads talk to each other, right?
They're actually mostly
You
talking
suck.
in sync.
Head
Every once in a
number
while they
3.
take turns, I think, but for the most part, they're a hive mind. But that did have the side effect of literally breaking my ability to understand or speak English for like about half an hour, so I don't recommend it.
Recording on top of yourself.
And listening to it over and over and over again. I mean, I get so sick of all my voice lines after I've heard them, 20 times in a row. It's usually a point where like, well, I hate it, but not enough that I think I'll hate it tomorrow. And that's what that's probably pretty good, actually.
So what's on the immediate development roadmap for this game?
Right now, there's these last couple of levels in the final zone, which is it's the tower, and so you're basically going to be climbing aboard a giant evil robot factory and taking it out from the inside, and that'll be done across a couple of different levels. And besides that, I just wrapped up a whole bunch of boring, like, add all the options that people want before beta sort of lap. So I'm getting to get back into game content again. Right now I'm working on a new power, like a ice bullet that can freeze enemies, which of course can horribly break balance.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you're like, oh man, this sounds like a great idea on paper. And then you put it, if you like test around it, it's like, oh man, this totally screws things up. In unexpected ways for sure.
Yeah, I have these walker enemies who are programmed to walk from hexagon to hexagon, like each leg grabs a separate hexagon. And basically every time I add something cool, it finds a way to break those damn walkers.
Oh no!
It's a huge pain in the ass because it's the most custom thing I've made in the game besides the actual terrain. It's a lot of, it's kind of each leg has its own AI and they all are told where to go by the hive mind, sort of like how a cockroach works or the Marslander.
Yeah, you can really
Mars
hose
Rover,
them.
sorry.
You can really hose them if you mess with the land.
That
That's
sounds
how
fun.
that's how I take them down. Yeah, like messing with the land till they trip up.
And then take them out.
Yeah,
So,
I was doing that. I was doing that in the game while you were watching.
yeah,
I
well,
was
you're
being-
demming it.
That's why I was being so ridiculous with that. It just gets them off kilter, so I can not get missiles launched at my head.
Why?
Damn those things! Damn those things! Oh, sorry. I'm okay now. I'm over it.
So, and we like to talk about people. So you went the Steam route on this. How did you go? So to get this into this, did you have a? I'm sorry. Did you do it the? Get my
Green
word.
light.
Get my words right. Did you greenlight this project? Thank you.
Yeah, I got it on Steam Greenlight, and did decently successful for a day, and then just everything dropped off for a few months. And it looks like somebody at Valve actually kind of manually pushed me through after a while, which is cool.
No, that's great. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, somebody at this company I really respect just saw me and poked me through, like, thanks. But at the same time, I was kind of hoping Greenlight would be this thing for people to sort of group group up and make a community around to help push me through.
Yeah.
And initially I was thinking, it's fine if it takes another year even, because this was a while ago. I mean, I was still 2014 maybe before I had floating on games even, and but nope, I didn't really get that extra chance at attention. The trade-off, of course, is that my game's on Steam.
We
Nice.
we talked about this on the show.
Yeah,
Just how
done
exponentially
right because of the growth of Steam, it's getting harder and harder to greenlight games because
or be found.
right.
Yeah.
You get lost in the stacks and stacks of materials that come out. So again, to have somebody from Valve take interest in you and push you through is
Tumbleweed had that problem for a while, and then all of
Yeah,
a
they
sudden
did.
they just gained ground and boom.
but that took Tumbleweed
Yeah,
a
it
couple
did.
of
It
years.
took,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
a
because
couple
they
of
had an
Kickstarters, yeah.
unsuccessful Kickstarter.
Right, yeah. So another
they
thing-
eventually
The
nailed it.
Dirigible-ers, man.
Right. Another
They're
group
awesome,
called Dirigible-ers, they had a really good game called Tumbleweed. I mean, it really
Tumbleweed
was.
Express, yeah.
Yeah, it was
It is.
spectacular.
It's it made it.
and
They made it.
We had seen it early in development, and then they went to Steam and tried to greenlight it, and got a lot, like you said, got a lot of interest in its first few days, and then it just dropped off. Eventually, it picked up again, and but it took a while.
Yeah, you're just gonna hit that critical mass.
And
Yeah,
they finally
it just
hit
suddenly
critical
did.
mass.
There's
So,
no
like,
magic formula. It's just-
and it gets harder and harder because there's so much more material now, more content coming out, that it just things tend to get lost in the shuffle.
I think if you got your mechanics straight, I think that's it. And Tumbleweed, one of the things was they straightened out a lot of their mechanics. I mean, you play the game that we did. We've had them on, I think, twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been on the show twice.
We had them on like years ago when they first started.
Right.
And you could tell it was going to be something kind of cool, but they didn't have their mechanics straight. But when you saw it later, all of a sudden the mechanics were
everything was
like
very
110%.
sharp, yeah.
I think that's one of the things where you've got it pretty much out of the gate right now. It's the mechanics are straight. I mean,
And that's it. I suspect that's why the Unity guy pushed you through too. Your mechanics are so solid. Again,
it's fun to control. I mean,
it really is. It's great to see how well that works. So, greenlighted now. You're going on that. You've got again a fairly ambitious schedule coming up.
Yeah.
So far, the reaction on Steam, how's that been for you?
I've got 4 positive reviews, so I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah! Well, we'll have to give you a couple more after now that we've been playing it for a bit, but... Have you reviewed it yet, Rob? You've been playing
no,
it?
it's coming up
for
because
Rob.
it's.
Oh, okay, I was just going to say all 4 of Rob's reviews, right.
It's hard to do. I'm not gonna watch. I'm so sad that I have to play games that I enjoy on a stream sometimes. It's such a terrible thing. But you got your steadfast, and then you do indie gems, like so beyond indie gems.
Yeah.
And indie gems comes out about once a month. Whereas XD Live and stuff like I'm going into the mechanics of my station, which is
Retro Rob on YouTube.
yeah. I don't
Right.
push it very often here.
Right, well, let me just push it there for you.
Nobody here
There we go.
cares.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't care. Only Ryan
But,
watches
Well,
it.
we care.
Nobody
We care
here
that you
to
have
hear.
it, but no, you can promote it. Promote it all you want.
Yeah.
This is your show too.
Nah.
He doesn't want to be. He doesn't want his actual channel associated with this.
I get this-
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Oh
Yeah. Do not
no!
associate
Hey,
that show with
G2B
this.
is probably displayed on my
Yeah, I know. I'm just messing.
on a
I'm
regular
just messing.
basis. No, it's one of those things. You never feel. I don't know how you feel about this, but I never feel real. I hate pushing my stuff in forums and stuff. I like even the Facebook forums for the GPD people. By the way, can you map that thing to a controller fairly decently?
It's got a pretty good Steam controller support right now. And I just put in the
Too bad
new...
Matt's not here.
Yeah,
Matt loves his Steam
Matt loves
controller.
the Steam controller.
he
Yeah, there's a
he
good
would
mapping
marry
for
it.
that out right now. I'm not sure if it has all the powers in it yet. A friend of mine made it months ago before he had all the powers unlocked necessarily. But I did just add a new backend which should make controller mapping more doable. I haven't tested it out yet, so I haven't actually enabled controller support. So sorry about that, but hopefully,
The GPD
hopefully it'll
win
work
people.
well. I really
love
need
it.
to see because the crux of the game is that you're looking down a lot, and so I suspect I need to actually add a button to instantly look down on a controller and see how that works.
Oh yeah.
But short of
That's
that, I think it should work.
I would think. I mean, I played Jumping Flash on a small screen and it worked pretty well, so I think this.
Yes, but Jumping Flash automatically made you look at the ground when you jumped, whereas this makes you look down before you jump, and you have to do it manually with your mouse, which is a good way to do Jumping Flash with mouse look, but that doesn't necessarily convert back to working with a controller in the end. So
I might want to add it to the
waiting
controller
to see.
feature. I guess you could add it as an option.
Yeah, I just need to test it out.
You know, you don't even think about it with the mouse. You know, I didn't even think about it. Yeah,
No,
you do.
no,
You
it's
just
not stressful
you do
with a
look
mouse.
down just by nature. Oh, be darn.
Looking down's very fast on the mouse, right? But
Yeah.
with an analog stick, it could be kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
That said, looking down is pretty fast. I mean, most people, when they suck at an FPS, they're staring at their feet the whole time anyway, so...
I'd say that's why I hate FPSs.
And
Larry.
being eaten by zombies at the same time.
Yes.
I'm looking at my feet
And
getting
get
eaten by
zombies.
zombies.
So,
Poor Larry.
I'm always looking at my
Zombie
feet
food.
or in the air, and Justin's like, "Well, what are you doing? Look straight." And I'm like, "I'm trying."
It's just such cool
There
stuff.
could be something up there.
I'm not doing this on purpose.
You know,
But the Cloudbase Prime's unfortunately not a great fit for early access, so I haven't been pushing it too hard. I've got kind of a slightly stronger push planned for actual release, so hopefully it'll do a little better than 4 more reviews at release.
Yeah, because I was thinking it's got a lot more polish than a lot of stuff that's
Oh my
in
God,
beta
yeah.
right now.
no, and you know, that's the thing. It's a fairly, I mean, besides again, like you said, you have to do some more levels and maybe a little more, bit more debugging. But generally, the game feels fairly complete at this point already.
That's good. I'm really not planning on making huge changes to the first few levels. so-
Yeah, no, they are so solid.
I don't think I've run into any bugs or anything.
No. So that's a solid feel. All right, well, so this one's almost done. You got a few more levels to go, and you'll get this one pushed out. Future plans?
Here he goes.
I've got a few different game ideas, but also, depending on how much Cloudbase Prime takes up, I could support that a little bit longer. I've got a few different feature ideas floating around that could help prolong it. Unfortunately, the things that I use to make the levels internally are mostly built into the Unity editor. I've just Spotified it internally. It's a very easy engine to do that with, actually. So that makes it kind of hard for me to release a level editor. But it's still something I daydream about. If for some reason Cloudbase Prime were to do well enough for me to just be able to work on something like that for half a year.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd probably I'm going to move on to my next game idea, which won't necessarily be in the same genre. It could be 3D action, could be like a JRPG. Just want to try out a few different things. Probably make a few different prototypes as entries into different game jams. It's been a while since I did one of those.
I was just going to say, so you sounds like you were doing quite a few game jams for a while there.
Yeah. Geez, I think I was doing a game a month for a good while there.
Crap. How's the so we've been to Boston a few times for their game jam, which is also coincides with the Boston Festival of Independent Gamers, BFIG, and they always have a game jam going on there. How's the Texas for game jams?
Well, I looked it up once and found a website that said Texas Game Jam Convention, and they misspelled the word convention.
Oh.
And there was a WordPress template with a teddy bear on it. And,
I mean, it's Texas. You can't expect
A
them
Grateful
to spell.
Dead teddy bear?
no, just sort of this is your mom trying to make a website, and this was the default WordPress template, and then she forgot our password, is what this website is.
Which is probably exactly what happened.
Oh, ouch.
Could be.
Ouch.
But I mean, Austin obviously is very cool for that, but that's a ways out for me, 5 or 6 hours away, or more like 7 hours away from Lubbock.
Yeah, when you
because everything's that far away in Texas.
Yeah, when you
that's a
say
big state.
you're in the what are the Northern Plains, whatever they call that. Yeah,
The great.
yeah, you're
High
up there,
Plains.
man. The High Plains.
High
Thank you.
Plains,
You are up there in Texas. I never got that far up in Texas when I was there. I was always southern Texas. So people forget that's a long drive, even on a good day.
No, it's a big state.
Well, there's nothing between you and Austin. I mean, there's nothing. There is nothing
What
out
does
there.
Dallas count as?
Southern Texas.
I'd say Dallas.
Just really southern?
Yeah, there's a lot
It's
of.
like the middle of
There's
the
a lot of
state.
Texas north of Dallas. Okay.
There
Just
is,
gonna
but
put
it's
it
like
out
Geography
middle.
101.
There's a lot of Texas north of there. So
It seems like it's a little
I'm in a
higher.
little hat, so I'm on top of.
you are all the way up there.
Besides Amarillo, yeah.
I love it.
So you're almost in love with Oklahoma. That's
Pretty much so. So
Wonderful, wonderful Oklahoma.
I-
But unfortunately, I don't really go to game jams in person very much. Or fortunately, perhaps it's a little easier at home. Honestly, you get to sleep, and you get to
You
eat
barely
better
put on
food.
clothes, like that's nice.
Yeah.
You don't really have to do that in person either.
Have you gone to any in
We
person?
No, I've had friends come over to my house before to do game jams years ago, and that was fun. But I mean, for the most part, I work on games alone during these competitions anyway. So Ludum Dare, for example, has a 48-hour solo competition, and then they have a 72-hour team-based jam. And I usually just do the solo competitions.
Because it seems like for me at least, like the in person, almost having a LAN party kind of thing would be just kind of like there'd be just kind of some fun to that.
well, no, and that's what we saw at Boston. I mean, that's a whole different type of environment when you do those kind of in person game jams, where you've got the small groups working on games. I mean,
Yeah, I mean then you're throwing ideas back and everything's
I mean,
loud
yeah,
and
Are you planning
Yeah.
on expanding, or are you planning on just keeping it you?
I'm planning on just keeping it me. A big reason that I started this company and moved was so that I could start a family also. And so I need to be able to be home.
Yeah.
At home. And so that's really the main goal. It's just something that I'm good at that I can do from my home, and I know I can sell to people. More so than generic computer science skills. Of course, it's something I love. I really like making games and art, and I'm fortunate there. But this is sort of the end product of my wife and I sort of planning for a very long time what our jobs would be down the road. My wife's actually a professor, and she finally got her PhD a couple years back, and we looked at it and said, all right, I think we might actually be able to pull the trigger and do this. I might be able to work at home in game dev, and now we're trying it. And I'm not here in hopes of really making money. Even it's just something I know that I can at least try to make money with at home. And before this, I saved up for 8 years working in the industry in computer science. I'm not fresh out of college. I didn't say, oh, screw working for the man, I'm going to go make a game right away. That wasn't my approach.
You want a millennium?
We've already know that you both do the technical element, writing a game, coding for a game, and you also do the sort of artistic elements, drawing, voice
acting. Yeah.
voice acting. Which element do you prefer doing?
That's a real toughie. I mean, I'd say programming. Now, I really like the art, but it's best in the context of being a break from programming. So it's kind of a yin-yang thing where if I didn't have the programming there in the first place, I would just get lost in the weeds making grass forever. I wouldn't really have that drive, that reminder of, hey, you're working on this overall feature. So, I mean, I really like the whole craft, having this constant ping pong in the back of my head saying, okay, you're working on this end of the same task right now, finish it up, get on to the next thing. I really got into that when I was working professionally, just getting schedules together and finishing things. And in game jams, that was the main thing I learned. I think that's the main thing everybody takes out of game jams. That's why they like them, because it's so easy to just tinker with random shit forever when you have something like Unity that can do basically anything in a video game that you'd ever want. And instead, you've given 48 hours, make a game, or you've made nothing, go now.
Yeah.
And that's just a wonderful motivator. And once you've learned the skill of shipping, and by which I mean shipping software, the other kind of shipping could be really good too. I'm not really versed in that, unfortunately.
Maybe your
But
next
once you've
day
learned that, I
game.
mean, that's kind of the central attraction of game dev, I think. At least for indie people that do, the whole thing.
Well, a lot of the companies, staff, developers we've run into, they don't usually do all elements like that. There's usually a focus.
Right, one guy does art, one guy does programming.
Yeah.
They may do voices as well, but usually you'll have somebody doing that.
Yeah,
So-
they might get the wife involved. Not the boys,
which happens more often than you can imagine.
but you usually don't get someone who's really into doing both.
Well, everything at this point. I mean, not just both. I mean, he's again, literally
Everything but music.
everything but the music, and so.
Oh, speaking of, is there going to be is there going to be a OST? Is there going to be a music release as well?
Yes, it's actually out already. You can
Okay.
There you
Google
go.
it and find it on Bandcamp. I believe Matt's already put it up.
Every time somebody mentions Bandcamp, we do the Bandcamp.
Yeah, well, it's hard not to.
I try it.
This one time,
And then-
Bandcamp.
But actually, currently it makes me think of Owlbear songs.
I mean, you had a preemptive sigh for it that time. So.
Yeah,
he did. He
First, like, wait, why is he sighing?
he had us covered on that. All right.
Owlbear songs.
Oh yeah. Have you hugged your owlbear today?
Have you howled?
We're again.
Owlbear?
There's a guy who we know who does gaming music, so I'll throw it on Bandcamp.
He is on Bandcamp.
Yeah,
Yes, he is.
We
one
make
of
fun of him
one of his
endlessly
CDs is
for it.
called.
Bandcamp.
I think it's called Bardcamp.
Bardcamp, yes. So, but that's a whole other issue. All right, so if people want to find your game in the green light, they can find it at.
I was past
Cloud. They can find it at cloudbaseprime.com.
All right.
And now that's just going to be on Steam proper at this point. Steam Early Access.
Right. And how much is it going for on Steam Early Access?
$10. $9.99.
$9.99, people. Really, $9.99. And this is a.
You can bounce around
it's-
like a Mexican jumping
It's
bean
tough to really describe this game
and
completely
shoot
because
stuff.
you don't. And again, we made some comparisons earlier to Jumping Jack.
Jumping Flash.
I'm sorry, Jumping
Jumping
Flash. Thank you. We
Don't
made
worry,
some-
no Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, we made some early comparisons to that.
See, and he thought my
And-
jumping bean was out of bounds.
Well, I wasn't going quite back that far. It's got a completely. I'm going to disagree with that a little bit. I think it's got a very different feel from that.
I mean,
Maybe some of the
it's
mechanics
about,
are similar, but
I wouldn't. You couldn't call it like a jumping Flash clone.
no. And
It's just that you don't see that mechanic very often.
the
And that's
vertical.
that's why that comes out.
That's true because
I mean,
you're right, it's an unusual mechanic.
There's a little bit of tonality with Portal. There's a little bit of that in there too, but just in the tonality of it.
Yeah, all right.
But
I would argue that there
I
are a
would call
lot
it
of
that.
games with talking robots, though.
there are. Right.
well,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Robots
Yeah,
are
but
incredibly common.
we were kind of going with the mechanics, but yes, there are a lot of games with talking robots.
I say there's not a lot of games with talking robots with that. There's just the humor. The humor is like is that kind of humor. It's a different
I
direction.
thought it was the
though.
humor
I
of you
think
just
it was
putting your hair in a ponytail
That was
while
some
you were
humor.
talking.
About humor. so again, so they can find it out. They can find it. They can go to your site, cloudbaseprime.com. We'll have links on the website for that, and check the game out there. You've got some videos there. You've got some descriptions of the game. If you want to find it, just go to Steam. You can find it on Steam.
There's totally gonna be a link
Yes,
to the scene.
which there will also be a link on our website
Always is.
for. Again, cool game, a lot of potential coming up. As I'm dying to see the final levels coming up, and do a lot more gameplay on it
It's in the uncommon column.
in Steam.
No, I mean in the gameplay. So if you're looking for something,
Yeah, the
Different.
right.
a little
Not
step,
not your
a
typical
little step
platformer, not
different.
your typical.
That
right.
that the view is just it's a little in the uncommon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah,
You know what? One of the things is, and usually when you say uncommon, it means janky. But the game's not janky.
No.
at all.
No,
The controls
I
are.
mean, it's just
The controls are 110%.
It's just
No,
not
I'm
what
just.
other people are doing.
Yeah, I'm
Right, it's-
throwing that out there because some people use that as an excuse for janky controls. There's absolutely no janky controls.
Oh no.
I would say when I say it's like Jumping Flash, I would say the controls are improved
Almost
quite
definitely.
obviously on Jumping Flash's controls, but it still maintains that proper platformer feel, which is exactly what you say you were going for, which is, you know, a first-person platformer that you can actually play
Yeah,
and enjoy. Yeah.
you know, again, without the feel of a standard platformer, without that 2D blah blah blah, it's got.
Hey, I got no problem with 2D platformers as long as they're
I'm
done
just
well.
gonna say this.
Hey, Mario was awesome.
Yeah, again,
We're not here to argue, guys.
right. With,
I am
with-
really looking for like that Jumping Flash fan community that I'm sure is out there.
There's
So-
got
no, there is. There is.
I think you found them.
Dozens of us.
at least a few of us.
It's funny though because so many people, you mentioned Jumping Flash, they go, "Oh, I love that game."
Yeah, it's easy to forget. But it was like one of the first 3D platformers or like 3D games I played. Period.
Yeah.
So and again, it was very unique and it very has I mean I had been like 7 or 8 at the time, so it was a very like fond place in my heart.
Right.
Yeah, but it played well. I mean, it took even Super Mario. See, here we go. We segued, but sorry, and it's me too, which is
Yeah, you really
unusual,
did.
But still, even like with N64's Mario, which was actually a pretty darn good game, it never felt as right as Jumping Flash did.
Yeah.
As far as
The control, you can
Felt
find
solid.
yourself very astray pretty easily, and you're like, "Oh man, I didn't mean to go that way." Or
Right.
navigating in the 3D plane in Jumping Flash was just so damn good.
Right. And that's something that
It was
this,
hard but fair.
but this
Yes.
and that's what this game's got right. I think the navigating in the 3D platforming is really good on this. So.
yeah, you got to think ahead a little bit sometimes.
Well, yes, but it's
For the
still-
most, yeah,
you can think ahead, and it will make sense.
it will help you.
Yeah.
It'll definitely help you.
All right.
Before you pass that robot that you should have picked up.
Yeah,
Like
well.
I do all the time. You can have a little bit too much fun jumping around. I'm just saying. You can have it.
Make it a little less fun, damn it.
All right.
All right.
I'll try.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up, Rob.
Wait, let me. No.
Always.
All right. Thank you all for watching Guys, Games, and Beer. You can check us out on Facebook for your Game Fridays, www.facebook.com/Guys, Games, and Beer, and join the scads, the hundreds of other Guys, Games, and Beer
Damn, 1,000.
We're
people who
15
are
short
just
of
there to
that.
get free
Yeah,
games.
well, like we're
and
15
run
short of
away.
1,000, so yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
So tell all your friends.
So, for
On
you
Twitter.
guys,
14 of your
we're also-
friends.
On Twitter.
Do we have a
at
prize
Guys,
for-
Games,
do
Beer.
we have a prize for like the thousands?
Well,
No,
talk
we
about it
don't.
later.
No.
At Guys, Games, Beer on Twitter.
Okay, so because he just mentioned the Twitter, we will give away a game tomorrow on Twitter to get you over the hump day. So if you're on,
This doesn't get posted till Thursday. Oh.
No, this
We're
is live right
now.
now.
So
So anybody can watch it.
yeah, so if you're watching us right now live, if you're watching us Thursday, the game's already gone. I'll give away a game tomorrow on Twitter. Be on
Don't worry,
Twitter
there's
tomorrow.
still free game Friday.
It's a dromedary week, 2 hump days. You can do it whenever.
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
Yeah. Agree with that.
I always need a couple humps to get me through the week.
That's right. All right.
Website www.guysgamesandbeer.net.
Yeah, I like that.
Don't forget that the Midwest Gaming Classic is coming up, one of our larger events of the year, and we will of course be there live if you are. It's sold out now, though, isn't it?
Is the VIG is sold out? I think.
VIG sold
Not the
out.
whole
Still
thing.
sounds
Yeah,
like
just
it.
the event isn't sold out.
Yeah,
The hotels are all
VIG
booked up,
is.
though.
No, but
No,
They're on their third hotel.
they're on their third hotel.
Never mind. Okay, so we are going to be like Rob said at Midwest
Come
Gaming
on,
Classic,
see
which
us,
is
eh?
April
7th,
7th,
8th,
8th, and 9th. The 7th, we will be doing trivia in the bar along
you're
with
VIG.
At midnight. Yep.
what's
Johnny Gioli.
Johnny Gioli.
Crush 40.
of Crush 40, who does video game music, and we will be doing live trivia with him Friday night for you lucky VIGs. If you haven't gotten a VIG ticket, if there's any left, you should pick one up now. And that's coming up fast. It's just about a month out. So make sure to catch us at Midwest Gaming Classic. We'll do some live segments from the Midwest Gaming Classic, but come out and have a beer with us. It's a lot more fun.
And we
Made
will,
of
of
fun.
course, have giveaways as we always
Oh my
do.
God, will we have giveaways?
Bring your
We have
No
to
black
bribe you
box
to
of
watch us.
awesome because we got legally detained from doing those, but there will definitely be giveaways.
All right, so
Don't even want to talk about it. All right, check out.
Come up
Keep
from
it
Texas.
Keep it moving,
This is a
people.
great
Come on.
event.
Thank you very much for Tyrus for coming out Check
Give them
out
away officially.
Cloudbase Prime. There will be a link in the description below here for $10. It's really a no-brainer, honestly. I can't really recommend it enough. There's so few really fresh games out there, so be sure to support developers who come out with fresh games that are fun to play. That's all I have to say for this week.
Yay! All
Cheers to that.
See you guys
Cheers to
next
that.
week.
Bye, guys.
See you guys next week. Later.